How Sun Tzu's Art of War Can Make You Unbeatable in Business. Art of Fortune. Sun Tzu's Art of War, the ultimate timeless business scripture. Art of Fortune welcomes you all. There's a very popular TV drama. I later learned it's adapted from a true story, called The Knockout. Everyone knows I usually don't waste time watching dramas. But I learned about this one because of a scene that popped up on my phone. In that scene, a police officer recommended a book to a fishmonger. In that instant, I understood that this fishmonger, from humble beginnings, was about to rise dramatically. Why? Because I deeply resonate with that. We both once had a secret manual that unlocked everything and made our businesses flourish. That book is Sun Tzu's Art of War. Many believe the poor have no chance of becoming rich. Thinking success requires innate talent, intelligence, and ability. But looking back at history, who were the most naturally gifted and often praised figures? Two prominent names are Zhuge Liang, who could strategize from afar, and Shan Yu, whose peerless strength could match 100 men alone. But have you noticed? Both failed. Meanwhile, their rivals, Sima Yi and Liu Bang, managed to conquer the world. What did they rely on? One word: cunning or ruthlessness. You can search online. All great, successful people have stories of cunning behind them. For example, the owner of McDonald's kicked out the two founding brothers to achieve success. Or Elon Musk. The way he made his first money was by acquiring a rival company and then pushing out its owner. In other words, someone rising from the bottom doesn't do so through talent or ability, but through cunning. So, can cunning be learned? Have you heard the saying, all warfare is based on deception? It originates precisely from Sun Tzu's Art of War. Those who don't understand deeply often misinterpret the art of war. They think the book teaches how the weak can defeat the strong. That being cunning enough allows the weak to beat the strong. But that's not it. The art of war teaches us how to go from weak to strong, and then use strength to overwhelm the weak. This book has existed for thousands of years. Nowadays, there are no more wars to fight in the traditional sense. So what relevance does it have to us? That's because you haven't understood that the marketplace is a battlefield. In the old days, starting a business was called conquering the land. Today, it's called doing business. The Art of War is the ultimate, unrivaled book, because in war, defeat means death, so it couldn't be written carelessly. Therefore, its strategies and tactics have attracted countless politicians, entrepreneurs, and capitalists worldwide to study it secretly. You'll realize that if you read The Art of War first, and then read Western books on management, investment, business, and finance, you'll have an epiphany. Why? Because the thinking of many successful people worldwide originates from the art of war. Therefore, in my opinion, today the art of war should be called the art of making money. This book is extremely suitable for those starting from scratch because what we want to seize are resources that have been monopolized, including both money and opportunities, represented metaphorically as women in the original. However, because the book is written in classical Chinese, you might not fully understand how to apply and practice it. So, I reread it, compiled all the strategies that helped me rise, and will share them unreservedly. The first thing you need to do is connect with my mindset. Support me with a like. Second, this channel, Art of Fortune, specializes in sharing information about entrepreneurial thinking, investors, and becoming wealthy and financially free. If you don't want to miss the latest information, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. What is the core of Sun Tzu's Art of War? It is, win first, then seek battle, meaning, victory is already assured before fighting begins. Many translations misunderstand this phrase, thinking it means, I only strike when I'm sure of victory. And many think this is redundant, arguing it's obvious. Who would fight knowing they'll lose? But look around. Why do so many investors get trapped and lose money? Why do so many people fail when pursuing a girl? Why do so many startups go bankrupt? It's because they seek battle before ensuring victory. They act based on emotion. Most people, hearing a phrase, only understand the surface meaning of each word. Their brains don't actually analyze or reflect on the most important meaning hidden behind it. If you truly understand the art of war, the win first here doesn't mean predicting victory, but placing oneself in an invincible position before engaging. Years ago, I read a news report and suddenly understood the meaning of this phrase. Everyone knows about a certain terrorist leader who was eliminated by the US military. The entire US operation was a prime example of the win first, then seek battle principle. First, they used satellites to scan the entire structure of the villa the leader was renting. Then, they built an identical model in the US to train 24 elite soldiers. These soldiers trained there for 2 months, repeating drills day after day until every action became muscle memory, no thought needed. No aiming required, just raise the gun and hit the target. Actually, we all have muscle memory. When walking, we don't think about whether to step left or right first. Similarly, these soldiers trained to the point where they could navigate every corner of the villa blindfolded. After mastering the terrain, they began rehearsing failure scenarios. What if the helicopter needed refueling midway? What if a helicopter crashed? What if they met resistance? What if the target refused to surrender? How to handle casualties? How to retreat if the mission failed? In the actual operation, the helicopters had to fly low to avoid radar detection. Due to turbulent air, one crashed, but this didn't affect the overall plan. They still quickly eliminated the target without hesitation. And most importantly, there were 0 casualties on the US side. Many wonder, if they knew where the leader was, why not send more troops to eliminate him immediately? Why go through such elaborate, lengthy planning? Weren't they afraid of missing the best opportunity? This is win first, then seek battle. Even if uncertainties arose, they had countless backup plans. Only when they were in an invincible position did they strike. If they couldn't guarantee that, they would rather miss the opportunity than act recklessly. It's the same in Go. A master never rushes into the center of the board from the start. They always secure the corners and edges first to build a solid foundation. Then gradually advance towards the center. Every inch of territory gained becomes their advantage. The principle is, first, put yourself in an invincible position. Don't fight battles you're not sure of winning. If you strike, you must have an absolute chance of victory. Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary Japanese swordsman, was also a fan of the art of war. He combined its philosophy with Japanese culture and derived the saying, "Before the sword is drawn, victory or defeat is already decided." Meaning, when a master strikes, the opponent has already lost beforehand. Because if he wasn't sure of victory, he would never draw his sword. Therefore, many people who know me think I'm not good at making money. But the truly wealthy individuals who have done business with me couldn't beat me. Why? When capable people invest or do business, can they instantly see the potential of a project or company, as well as the amount of money they can make? Is it because their minds are more flexible, allowing them to quickly persuade others to cooperate and sign contracts? When someone introduces a project to me, I usually don't jump in eagerly. I let those with a higher risk tolerance try first. Meanwhile, I go home and think, does this project have risks? What's the risk level? If problems arise, can I withdraw safely? I would rather miss an opportunity than jump into an uncertain project. I always calculate thoroughly to ensure I won't lose money before entering a deal. Many don't understand this. How can you know beforehand that a project won't lose money? Example. Recently, I did a photo shoot, and I knew for sure this business model would be profitable. In the traditional way, if you open a photo studio, you can only attract customers within about a 100-meter radius. No matter how good your service is, the potential customer pool is limited. That's why traditional studios often have to be located in bustling commercial areas where customers with high purchasing power are willing to spend money on makeup, beautiful outfits, and photos. But that also means they have to spend a lot on rent, while the customer base remains limited, not to mention paying salaries for photographers, makeup artists, and photo editors. This is the type of business where you lose money before you make any. And I absolutely avoid such models. However, the studio I experienced was completely different. It was located quite far from the city center but was always fully booked. The reason? People from all over the world sought them out. And crucially, they had to pay a deposit up front. Meaning, even before providing the service, this studio collected money first. Thus, they recouped their capital from the start and placed themselves in an invincible position. How did they do it? They posted their photography work on media platforms like YouTube, which has 2.5 billion users. They didn't need to be super famous. Just having 10,000 followers, among whom only 1,000 were willing to book the service. Meant their entire year's schedule was booked solid. Before starting the business, they collected deposits for the whole year, assuming 1,000 customers, each paying a $600 deposit. They collected $600 up front. Meanwhile, their total operating cost for the year was only about $200. The surplus $400 could be used to open 2 more branches, expanding the business scale. This is financial leverage. Most importantly, the profit margin is very high. I took over 100 photos. But in the $600 package, they only edited 15 photos for free. If I wanted to keep the rest, I had to pay an additional $30 per photo. If I wanted a cheaper price, I had to buy another package next time. In other words, their main source of income comes from these add-on costs, ensuring customers return multiple times. With this mindset, you'll realize that any service can apply this business model. Example: if you teach basketball, you can absolutely collect tuition fees first, then hire coaches. You can teach magic, English, even how to pick up girls or play games. All can be done this way. Do you know why I went for that photo shoot? Because the studio owner is an acquaintance of mine, and this entire business model was my suggestion. This isn't an isolated case. Even if you have no special skills, no clear passion, but you realize working for others offers no future and want to build your own career, you absolutely must learn how to build an online money-making system. An automated money-making brand. This doesn't require you to quit your job immediately. The crucial thing is to ensure you are in an invincible position first, collect money up front, then do business. In reality, the art of war teaches you how to avoid falling into a crisis. However, ordinary people tend to idolize and worship stories about how to win battles. That's why cases like Zhuge Liang or Xiang Yu using fewer troops to defeat many made them heroes. But on the battlefield and in the marketplace, the ultimate winners are usually the strong overwhelming the weak. The art of war doesn't just teach how to win, but how to achieve absolute victory. What does that mean? When we were kids, if bullied, our first reaction was to fight back. Then parents might enroll us in martial arts. But the result? Even if we beat the bully, both got hurt, punished by the school, maybe even scolded by parents at home. So, even if you win the small fight, both become losers in life. Everyone understands this, but in work or business, when facing competition, most still behave like children, only thinking about counter-attacking, engaging in direct confrontation, and ultimately turning themselves into losers. In many cases, 2 parties fight, only for a third party to benefit. Example: 2 employees compete for a position. In the end, both are eliminated, and someone else is chosen. 2 companies engage in a price war, lowering product prices relentlessly to compete. By the time the rival goes bankrupt, they themselves have already lost 90%. If they hadn't fought, both could have continued making money. But once they fight, everyone loses. So why fight? Many misunderstand competition. They think it's like sports, where only the first place winner is remembered, and second place doesn't matter. But real competition isn't like that. The goal of competition isn't to defeat the opponent, but to ensure you have a better life. If the opponent exists without affecting your ability to make money, and you can even cooperate to earn more, why try to destroy them? This is what the art of war pursues: absolute victory. Not winning a small battle, but winning completely. How to achieve that? The only way is to win without fighting. That is the victory without battle Sun Tzu spoke of. In Jin Yong's wuxia novels, I find the most powerful technique is the soul-sucking great method, Di Hun Da Fa, from the 9 Yin Manual. Once, Yang Guo had to face a disciple of the Golden Wheel monk King. In terms of martial arts skill, Yang Guo was completely outmatched. Almost impossible to win, but by using the soul-sucking great method, Yang Guo hypnotized his opponent, causing the enemy to use his own martial arts to defeat himself, without Yang Guo expending any effort. This is winning without fighting. The art of war surpasses all other military texts precisely because it always teaches you how to win with the lowest cost but highest efficiency. Our goal isn't a bloody battle. When conflict is unavoidable, we don't need to destroy the opponent. We can turn their strength into our advantage. In wartime, if you have 10,000 troops, I will mobilize 1 million troops to surround but not attack. I will just wait until you run out of food. Until your water supply runs dry. You yourself will have to surrender. If you try to charge out with nothing to eat or drink, only to see our million surrounding troops, even an ordinary person would choose to surrender. At that point, your 10,000 soldiers become prisoners. And then they join our ranks. Our army grows from 1 million to 1.010.000. Like a snowball rolling downhill. Getting bigger and bigger. Today, you have 10,000 troops. I also have 10,000. I won't fight. Even if I have 100,000 troops, I still won't fight. But when I have 1 million troops, I will issue a challenge. But still not attack directly. Only surround you. Understand? I will never actively initiate battle but will use the tactic of attacking down the hierarchy. The meaning is, when I have 10,000 troops, I find an opponent with only 100. When I have 100,000 troops, I find an opponent with 1,000. When I have 1 million troops, I find an opponent with 10,000. Applying this to modern business, when I have the capability to open a high-end Western restaurant, I choose to open a mid-range one. When I can open a mid-range Western restaurant, I open a regular tea house. When I can open a tea house, I open a breakfast shop. When I can open a breakfast shop, I go to the night market and sell snacks. Understand? Better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. You don't need to compete with people at your level. Just defeat opponents at a lower level than you to dominate that market. Don't underestimate small markets. McDonald's just sells fries. Coca-Cola just sells soda. Laoganma just sells chili sauce. Recently, I noticed someone named Qin Yinglin, a pig farmer in China. You might think pig farmers usually have low education levels. Right? Correct. But Qin Yinglin is a university graduate majoring in animal husbandry. Instead of studying finance, law, or medicine, he chose to learn how to raise pigs and was determined to turn this into a major industry. Initially, many mocked him, but in reality, he was the smartest. If he graduated and competed for finance positions, wouldn't he be battered until bloodied? Instead, he chose pig farming, a field with no university graduates competing against him. From raising 20 pigs, he grew to over 40 million, possessing assets over $27 billion, ranking among China's top 10 billionaires. He didn't need to compete with farmers. He just applied the knowledge learned in university to animal husbandry, turning it into a high-tech industry. His breeding system helps pigs feel cool in summer, sleep comfortably, eat well, while controlling the entire supply chain from feed production to transportation and sales. Optimizing costs and profits. How could an ordinary farmer compete with him? They could only be acquired by him. It's the same on the battlefield. Fight on your own terms, not the opponent's. First, attack the weak, then the strong. After annexing the weak without expending much effort, you become stronger. Then, the previously strong opponent becomes weak relative to you. At that point, you can easily defeat them. Understand? So, if you have nothing, how do you start? Remember 2 principles. Principle 1. Warfare is the way of deception. Meaning, use cunning, not brute force. If you partner in business with someone earning $2 a month, no matter how good you are, the most you can earn is $2. But if you partner with a millionaire boss, you can earn at least $100. But why would a rich boss want to partner with you? A wage earner wanting to do business? Impossible, right? At the very least, you need a corresponding status. This is why I previously advised that if you want to do business, you should spend a small amount to register a limited liability company. That way, you can call yourself a business owner. When I was first earning $1 million a year, I attended a birthday party for a friend in the business circle. Many people there drove Porsches, Ferraris. At that time, I was just starting out, had just gotten my license, and bought an old, cheap Mercedes-Benz CLS 350. When I walked in, nobody paid attention to me. Even I felt inadequate, felt unworthy of being at that party, let alone collaborating with them. But when my friend introduced me, he's young but already earning $1 million. Suddenly many people came to offer toasts, expressing interest in partnering with me. Much later, I realized those driving Porsches and Ferraris actually only earned about $100 to $200 a year. Some didn't even own property. Just focused on buying luxury brands, fancy cars, and living in lavish apartments. At that moment, I suddenly understood. Even though they earned much less than me, I lacked confidence when facing them. Therefore, when they talked business, they had an advantage over me. If I didn't know their true strength, I could only partner with people even weaker than myself. Now, I've trained myself to the point where just hearing someone speak a few sentences allows me to guess their financial level. But from this story, I deeply understood the meaning of the phrase from The Art of War. Know the enemy and know yourself. In 100 battles, you will never be defeated. Why must you understand the other person's position? Because whether we make money or not crucially depends not on who we really are, but on who others think we are. Did Zhuge Liang understand the art of war? Certainly, but he knew clearly he couldn't win, yet still decided to come out of seclusion to assist Liu Bei, ultimately leading to failure. Look back at Zhuge Liang's empty fort strategy against Sima Yi. He threw open the city gates, sat atop them calmly playing the zither, as if telling Sima Yi, "Come in if you dare. Inside, I've laid inescapable traps." But in reality, the city was empty, with no troops. Yet Sima Yi, despite having hundreds of thousands of soldiers, dared not enter. Zhuge Liang won without fighting. It's the same in business. Even without money, you must create the impression of being very wealthy. Without customers, create the impression of having many. Without talent, act as if you have plenty. Why are banks willing to lend us money to buy houses? Why, when we enter a bank, do we not need to queue? Someone actively gets a number for us? Why, when I did wholesale, did suppliers willingly extend credit, sometimes without even requiring a deposit? It's all because warfare is the way of deception. Lure the enemy into a trap. We don't need to be big customers, we just need to make others think we are big customers. And we'll receive the treatment of big customers. Understand? Remember, when you have no money but want to do business, it's better to spend $2 on one expensive suit than buy 10 cheap ones. Better to borrow money for a luxury car than buy an old car outright. These are tools to enhance your perceived value. You must give to receive. When you have 300 customers, organize a party to entertain them. Rent a hotel that only holds 150 people. The scarcer the talent, the more you must act like you have plenty. On this point, Jack Ma is a master. Before he had money or talented staff, he constantly proclaimed he had 18 arhats, enlightened disciples. But in reality, they were just young students he recruited, because he promoted his genius team every day. Gradually everyone believed it. Jack Ma traveled everywhere seeking opportunities, wanting to bring the American e-commerce model to China, constantly promoting his slogan, "Make it easy to do business anywhere." But time after time, he was rejected by investors. If you were constantly rejected, what would you do? I'm not asking if you'd give up. Phrases like, "Will you give up?" are just motivational fluff. I'm asking, would you dare tell your team you failed to secure funding today? Jack Ma never told his team, "I was rejected." He said, "Those investors have too narrow a vision, so I didn't accept their money. I refused to let them invest in Alibaba." This is the art of warfare, is the way of deception. The result? Jack Ma found Masayoshi Son to invest, subsequently building the Alibaba empire. When you have no money, you must know how to use illusion to create value. But once you have money, you must combine the real and the illusory. That is the highest realm of strategy. Principle 2. Borrow momentum. Create momentum. A famous entrepreneur once said, "Standing in the path of a strong wind, even a pig can fly." This quote originates from The Art of War, referring to the momentum of the times. Major world events always have their own development trends. If you want to achieve great things, you must borrow the power of major trends. The same resources, placed at different times, in different locations, have different values. War is the same. My military strength is limited. But how do I maximize its value? By relying on the power of momentum. Look back at Zhuge Liang borrowing the east wind in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. When he used fire attacks against Cao Cao's army, it was thanks to the east wind that the fire could blow directly into Cao Cao's camp, burning all the warships. That is following the opportune moment. Borrowing momentum to win. TSMC, the world's leading chip manufacturer, is the same. They knew that in the future, all countries would need semiconductor chips. So, they monopolized this technology. Now, if you want chips, you have to go to them. And they hold the whole world by the throat. Bill Gates saw a future where every home would have a computer. So he created Microsoft. Today, if you want to use Microsoft software, you have to pay for them. Mark Zuckerberg saw a future where people would no longer exchange business cards but connect via social networks. So everyone uses Facebook. Where there are many people, there is money. Today, if you want to advertise, you no longer put money into billboards on the street. You run ads on social media. Therefore, Facebook makes money primarily from advertising. What about ordinary people? If they've never done business, can they create momentum? Yes. The internet age brings countless opportunities. Suppose you like playing games. Record yourself playing, make tutorial videos, then upload them to YouTube. You don't need to show your face, just talk to the computer screen. Like I'm talking to you now. As long as people click and watch, you'll receive money from advertising. When you have enough followers, smart businesses will proactively approach you for collaboration because you hold their potential traffic. Today, wherever there are many people, that's the most effective place for advertising. And YouTube is one of those platforms. More importantly, this method costs almost nothing. If you fail, you lose nothing. But if you succeed, you can achieve financial freedom, quit your job, travel the world, and enjoy passive income for life. Actually, all of this is just a concept. Just the surface. What you really need is a mentor who has achieved results, whether in personal media or entrepreneurship. Why? Because with guidance, you save a lot of time fumbling around. You don't need to slowly learn everything one by one, from content writing, presentation, SEO, design, video editing, titling, to marketing and monetization. The art of war has only a few key principles. Train before battle. Aim for absolute victory without needing to fight. Knowing yourself and the enemy leads to invincibility. Warfare is the art of unpredictable transformation. Use the power of momentum to achieve great success. Due to time constraints, let's stop here. Art of Fortune shares free information on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, follow our channel, turn on notifications, and share this video. I sincerely wish the brothers and sisters who supported this video will soon achieve financial freedom. As long as 1 or 2 sentences in this video help your life, I am already satisfied.